So this particular video is from several months ago. Why did the police officer do what he did in striking the lady with his car? You will watch this video and you will say, man, that's harsh. Or why didn't he use a taser? Or why didn't he try to use other tactics to stop this lady who was a threat, who clearly had a gun and was not only threatening to shoot herself, but waving the gun around the area that she was in? If you look at the video, you can see there's pedestrians, there are people in vehicles, there's a potential for other people to get hurt. So most of you know a little bit about my background. I was a police officer for over 30 plus years. And one of the biggest things that I think your average citizen struggles with is trying to understand why cops do a lot of what they do. And if you're watching this video, I thought what the officer did was good tactics, because the main purpose of our job is to protect and serve the citizens of the city or county where we work. So, and that entails protecting life as well. So what a lot of people don't understand is when you have someone who, as in the case of this young lady here, who's threatening to harm other people, who's a danger to not only herself, but to other people in this case. Now, in regards to herself, if there were no other people around and she was in an area where there was no potential for other people to get hurt other than the officers, a lot of times police officers will try to do what they can to de-escalate the situation. But when somebody brings a gun into the situation, that changes things. Now, there's been an argument over the last few years where people have talked about the mental health aspect of it and bringing in counselors. You guys remember all that garbage back after George Floyd. I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. The point I'm trying to make is it all depends on the situation. So in this situation, those of you that would watch this video and think, man, that was rough. Look what he did. He used his car to try to kill her. That police officer was 100% justified in what he did in that video. And the reason being is because she, having the gun, is a deadly threat. Not only can she shoot herself, but she can also shoot other innocent bystanders or police officers. So the officers, because she's taken it to the level of deadly force by having a deadly weapon, the officers' level of force rises to that level. And using a vehicle, using a gun, using a sledgehammer, I mean, you name it, anything that can take out that threat. The lady was lucky that she got out of the way, because if you look at the video, she jumped out of the way. The officer was trying to kill her because he was, whether you want to hear this or not, he was justified in killing her with that car, just like he'd have been justified in shooting her and killing her with his handgun or his weapon. And that's where a lot of people get confused when it comes to law enforcement. I don't know how many times over my career when I was working it, I heard people say, why don't they just shoot him in the leg? Why didn't they just use a taser? And if you've never been in that line of work, you don't understand the level of force that officers have to use. There is a use of force continuum. So whatever force that person is using, we are allowed to match it or go one step above. So for example, the first level of force is officer presence. Most people, when they see the presence of a police officer, that's enough to de-escalate the situation. Then you have empty hand techniques such as wrist locks, or pressure points or things of that nature. Then you have intermediate weapons and then you have deadly force. A lot of these change depending on the department that you work for, but for the most part, you definitely have those four. You have the officer presence, you have open empty hand techniques, you have intermediate weapons, which would be a K9. Yes, a K9 would be considered an intermediate weapon. You have baton, you have taser, you have pepper spray, and then you have deadly force. So, and again, I know some other departments have other levels. The department I work for actually had one additional level that was thrown in the middle in there. But the point I'm trying to make is when your average citizen doesn't understand why the officers do what they do, they watch a video like this and they're flabbergasted by what they see. And they're outraged and they want to hire an attorney and they want to sue the police department and they want to sue the police officer. But what they don't realize is the police officer, according to law, is justified in doing whatever he needs to do to potentially save the life of the other officers or an innocent citizen, for example, sitting in one of those cars while she's waving that gun around the way she was doing. All she had to do was just go pow, shoot somebody sitting at the traffic light as she was walking back across the street. I'm just thankful that it ended with her probably getting a minor injury, knocking the gun out of her hand, and them being able to get her under control and to move on and live and fight another day. So this is just a little bit of educational video for those of you that have asked this question, because I've been asked this question before. So again, I think it was a good use of tactics by the officer, using his vehicle. For one, it keeps him in a safe situation because he's inside the car. Why get out and put yourself in harm's way trying to get behind cover or concealment when you could basically floor that engine and just freaking take this lady out? And I know it sounds bad, but again, unless you've done the job and understand all that's involved and why the officers do what they do, it's kind of hard for you to wrap your head around this. Like, even as a police officer, I was blessed where I never had to shoot anybody or take another life. I was shot at, but never had to take another life. And I was thankful for that, especially after 33 years in the profession. But the point I'm trying to make is not everybody has that circumstance. Everybody wants to go home at the end of the day, including police officers. But police officers have to make split-second decisions that have to do with life or death. And you better not mess up, because if you've watched the news, you're basically going to get raked over the coals in the media, sadly. So again, hopefully this video was help you, and hopefully this lady learned her lesson and becomes a more productive citizen in society. I love you guys. Now we'll check you on the next one. Later.